My entire life stopped when my health was on the floor. I'd ignored it for so long that my body had had enough. And that's high functioning health decline. Most women ignore those little symptoms. They ignore those little phrases that start to come up. That's why high functioning health decline goes so unaware in so many women, not because the symptoms aren't there, but because we push through. But your body can only compensate for so long. The strategies, how can we support our body, our nervous system, because we're women that put a lot of stress on it, because we're women that handle so much. So I want to paint a little scene for you because it's going to make sense onto the topic we're talking about today. So if I followed you around, is this what I see? Maybe I see you getting up, but you still feel so tired even after 8 hours. And you're like, oh, I just must not have slept well. And then the first thing you reach for is caffeine because you need it. Otherwise, you are not going to be able to get through the day. And when your partner asks you, how are you? You're like, oh, I'm fine, just a little bit tired. It's like your default answer to when everyone asks. And even during the workday, you are productive. You are getting shit done because you just have to. You have to get so much done. You're pushing, you're doing a lot, but maybe the task just feels a little bit hard. Like your brain is really struggling. And by the time you get home at 6 p.m., you are so exhausted that all you want to do is fall on the couch and scroll TikTok because that's your only way to decompress. That's the only amount of energy you have. The 6 p.m. Pilates class has definitely been canceled. I'll just do it another time. I'll do it when I have more energy. Your partner, maybe your family, get kind of the dregs of you because you've been so exhausted from your workday and you just got to keep going, push through. If you have kids, just quickly got to get the kids to bed, quickly got to do this. And by the time you finally lie your head on the pillow because you are so exhausted, the cruel joke is you're still awake. You're tired, but your brain's like, oh, that thing, I've got to remember that thing. Or you're obsessing over an email where you spelt something wrong, or you're running through meeting notes and it takes you ages to finally fall asleep. I feel like so many women feel this whole, I'm tired, but I can still keep performing. I can still keep going at a really high level. Because most of the time women think if something was wrong, I'd be burnt out. I'd be on the floor. I'd be collapsed on a couch, unable to move, or I'd be really sick. But that's not what it is a lot of the time. And this is what I call high functioning health decline, which by definition is that you're still able to do a lot of the things that you can normally do. You're still able to tick things off. You're still able to function during the day, but there are little symptoms, little signs that something is off balance. And this is what I want to dive into today because it is so common for women, for ambitious women, for high achieving women. Because on the outside, it just looks like, oh, I'm just tired. And then underneath, when I pull up their lab work, when I pull up their results and I do comprehensive questionnaires, we find out that there are little symptoms of underlying imbalances. It's like you're pushing through while your body is quietly protesting. And it's fair, the signs are really easy to miss. There's no dramatic crash, which I think a lot of people think with health. They hear all the stories of I hit burnout, or in my health story, it's I hit rock bottom of health, and lots of people are oh, I'm not there. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm still able to operate at my usual level, but I'm a little bit tireder. I'm a little bit less focused. I'm a little bit disconnected, a little bit less you in what you're doing in your day to day. But this is exactly what happened to me. It wasn't one thing that caused basically my rock bottom of health, that caused me to lose so much weight in 6 months that I was 38 kilograms, that caused me to have cystic acne and my liver failing, that I was starting to turn yellow and having the hormones of a 50-year-old. There wasn't one thing that caused it. It was a gradual build-up over time of little stresses that I ignored, little signs and whispers that my body was giving me that something was wrong, and I ignored them because I was an ambitious woman. I had dreams. I was studying physiotherapy. I went from school getting straight A's to straight into 6 years of uni. I never stopped, and I worked part-time. It was just constant. That's how I was driven. That's my motivation. So those little warning signs, I was like, yes, I'll just put this cream on it, or I'll do X. I ignored it for so long that my body had had enough. And that's high functioning health decline. So what are the signs? If you're resonating with that first part, it's similar to that. So it's things like you're tired even though you've slept 8 hours, but then when you go to sleep, you're wired. It's you can't fall asleep. Your brain is churning over. Or maybe you wake up during the night irregularly. You can focus, but it requires caffeine. Or when you do a workout, you feel good during it, but afterwards, it's you are so wiped and it's so hard to get through the rest of the day. Maybe it's skin breakouts. Maybe it's reduced hunger or appetite or digestive issues like bloating. The emotional stuff starts to creep in. Your tolerance for things gets smaller. Your partner says something which is normal, but you feel completely irritated, which feels so irrational. And maybe you get emotional at little things because your cortisol threshold is so small, little things will set you off. And then there's the hormonal picture that comes into the play where PMS gets stronger because your hormonal balance gets affected. These are all the little signs. Your body isn't failing you by giving these little signs. Your body is incredibly smart. Its whole goal is to keep you surviving. It compensates so much so that you can sustain the pace, so that you can sustain that level of drive and ambition that you have. From like a biology lesson, your body has a system called allostasis, which is like your body's stress coping mechanism, meaning that it can compensate and make little changes and adjust so that it maintains your body's set point. I like to think of it like a balance scale, like those old-fashioned balance scales. If you're putting stress and load onto the body, your body's very smart and will compensate and adjust to try and get your body back into balance. But that compensation comes at a cost. And over time, it starts to add up. And this is called the allostatic load. It's the wear and tear of the body to try and keep you in balance, to try and keep you surviving and functioning. I like to use the analogy of a rope. It's like, when you're playing tug of war, your body's trying to keep it in the middle. It's pulling, and it starts to fray. Little bits of symptoms start to show, but you keep pulling at it. You keep adding more stress. You keep pushing through, and then the rope will snap. And most women ignore those little symptoms. They ignore those little frays that start to come up, and they only pay attention when the rope snaps. And then what I start to see on lab work is I see cortisol dysregulation. So instead of having this beautiful, nice spike and then gradually going down over the day, I see either flatline cortisol or I see random spikes at the end of the day or when they're not meant to be spiking. I see gut health and microbiome dysfunction. 70% of your immune system is in your gut and I see that dysfunctioning. I see hormone dysfunctioning, hormonal imbalances coming into play, all because you are constantly stressing, constantly loading, ignoring those little signs and frays, and then our body snaps. Allostatic load studies have actually shown that it shows up in 15 or more biomarkers of the body, showing that it has such a high burden on every single system of the body, not just like your nervous system, not just your cortisol, which is why I can sometimes get a little bit annoyed of the influencers who are like, just regulate your nervous system, just work a 3-hour work day and you'll be so much better. You'll reduce your cortisol. It's literally like protect your nervous system has become like a bumper sticker on social media. But my thing is like, do you even know what the nervous system is physiologically? Or are you just using it because it's like a fun, trendy buzzword? Because dysregulated cortisol and reducing stress is so much more functionally deeper than just like putting your legs up at a wall and reading a book at night to help reduce your cortisol and reduce your stress. It's so much deeper than that because it affects every single system of the body, which is why a lot of the time women who come to me and they're like, I'm doing all the things, I'm doing my stress regulation, I'm trying so hard, because we haven't addressed biologically how to support your stress, your nervous system, and the load on your body that's causing these little frays of that rope, those little signs, those little symptoms that is causing your body to have little health imbalances. And we get these little whispers, we get these little symptoms and we ignore them. And it isn't until our body sends us a brick, maybe it's issues with weight, maybe it's issues with hormones and PMS, and we get these larger symptoms, which we still push through, we still do all the things, we still work hard, and then our body sends us a bus. That's when we get hit. That's when we have complete burnout, where we can't get out of bed. That's when we have complete adrenal fatigue. That's when we have my issue, where my health completely flatlined. And that's when women are like, oh shit, I better do something. I have to fix my health, I have to optimize. Then I'll invest in my health. That's why high functioning health decline goes so unaware in so many women, not because the symptoms aren't there, but because we push through. Before we dive into the strategies of how to actually support your body so that you can still drive, so that you can still have the success that you want, and preventing the rope from snapping, preventing being hit by that bus, like me, we need to work out why. Why are we so good at pushing through? Because when you know why we're so good, you can catch yourself in the moment and then become more aware. And there are 3 things that women do. Firstly is women are master maskers. There's, that saying of the man flu. When men get a cold, they're on the couch, it's woe me, please make me a soup. But when women get the exact same cold as the man, we're still doing the pickups, we're making dinner, we're cleaning the house, we're still showing up in meetings and Zoom calls. We just push through. It's just like the whole we'll just get it done. Get on with it. But who told us that this was the standard? Who decided that pushing through was the honorable thing? And I know in my family, my mum did it, never stopped, never rested, even when she was sick, still showed up, still did a million things. It's almost like we were told that resting was a weakness. And you just have to push through. We just get it done. But your body is sending you symptoms and signs for a reason. The fatigue, the fogginess, the emotional reactivity, that is your body communicating. But it's always our work comes first. Other people come first before us. Even when we're exhausted, everything else goes before actually pouring into us first. And we mask those symptoms because there's so much more important things to do. Secondly, is something I call the productivity identity. Part of the reason why health decline and these little symptoms go unnoticed is because you are really good at pushing through it. You've likely built this sense of identity around being reliable, about being successful, about being productive, being able to do so much. I have definitely been told I'm the queen of execution before. So that became I'm just the girl that gets things done no matter what. And the identity, it is genuinely one of your greatest strengths. It has gotten you where you are today. But when slowing down feels like a threat to that, it makes us feel uncomfortable. It makes us feel like we're falling short, like resting is failure. And if you do take time off, if you do get sick, if you do rest for even a moment, then you're falling behind, you're losing momentum, and you feel so guilty. So instead of pausing, we adjust. We research productivity hacks. We're I just need another thing that I can cram more in my day because I'm not focusing. You reach for the caffeine. You refine your to-do list. Instead of doing less, we do more. We add more onto our plate because we are trying to optimize a system that optimization cannot fix, because you're not looking underneath the surface of what's actually dictating how you perform, which is those underlying health systems. And the third reason why women are so good at ignoring the signs and those symptoms that cause functional health decline is what I call the competence trap. Because you are still performing, you're still getting great client results, you're still showing up for your team, you're showing up every single day, your family's everything's normal because you're getting things done. So your brain is thinking, well, there's nothing wrong with me because I'm still doing all the things that I need to do. I'm still getting things done. It's like every external signal is telling you you're fine because you've always trusted that your output is the signal of your well-being. If I'm still delivering, then I must be okay. But what nobody tells high-achieving women, and what nobody tells women that are doing so much, that women stay high-functioning well into declining of their health. And it's what I see in labs all the time. Your body is compensating so well, adapting so intelligently, that your performance and your ability to do things holds up, even though your biology underneath is starting to unravel, is starting to become a bit unbalanced. And by the time your output on the exterior starts to drop, there's a lot underneath the surface that needs to be undone because you've masked it for so long. This is why we can't wait until burnout to optimize and prioritize our health. Because for women like you, burnout doesn't come with this huge collapse a lot of the time. It arrives in all those small moments. The energy drop, the inability to focus, the skin issues, the sleep issues, maybe the different person that comes out at the end of the month. It comes in all those little whispers until we get hit by the bus. And we are not waiting for the bus. We are not being like me. What do we actually do? What are the strategies? How can we support our body, our nervous system, because we're women that put a lot of stress on it, because we're women that handle so much. Naturally, we're women, we're handling the household, we're handling the business, we're handling the career, we're doing so much in a day. I will never give you advice that's just take 2 weeks off, just go to the mountains and chill, because I know that you're going to spend 4 days by the pool checking your emails. It's going to take you that long to even try and decompress slightly. And by the time you come back, like a new woman, quote unquote, you're going to be maxed out on stress because now you have so much to catch up on. It doesn't actually change anything. We need to integrate strategies. We need to be able to support your health on a deeper level so that you can sustain the amount of stress that you are adding onto your body because you are driven, because you have big things, because you have family, because you're doing a million things, so that we don't get hit by the bus, so that we stop ignoring these like little symptoms, so that we end up really supporting your body to be able to sustain that drive that you have. We need strategies that work with your life, in your life, not against it. And we're actually going to go a bit deeper than like all the fluff you see on Instagram, because that is what you are here for. So strategy number 1 is adding micro recoveries into your day, which can seem very similar to like parasympathetic resets, which, you know, I love. We should talk about switching from that sympathetic zone into parasympathetic, but we've got a little bit more advanced strategies here that really support recovery. And I know like recovery can sound like a bit like elite athletes and people who can like afford to genuinely lie down in the middle of the day on those like beds where they use those, what are those called? Where they have those like compression leg things at like Total Fusion. I don't know why people want to use them, but anyway. The research on micro recoveries is actually really fascinating. So a study in the Journal of Applied Psychology found that brief periods of recovery distributed in small doses across the workday is more effective for maintaining resilience than doing like one long recovery session less frequently. So like skipping your 10-minute walks around the block is actually doing you a disservice when you're trying to push through the 3 p.m. mental block. You will be more effective taking that little micro recovery break than like doing this giant 3-hour recovery on the weekend to try and like compensate from working too hard during the week, or like in the afternoon scrolling on your phone to like quote unquote decompress. Your body actually physiologically needs small windows of consistent rest, not scrolling, not like mentally running through your inbox, like actual recovery, micro moments in your day. So similar to that parasympathetic reset, maybe it's like going for a little walk, doing some stretches, just like getting some fresh air outside for 2 minutes to reset your brain, to refocus, to allow your body to recover. Another micro recovery is actually going for a sauna, which supports so many functions of the body. But in terms of cortisol and stress, when you're in the heat, your cortisol will increase. That's normal. That's a stress response. You are invoking a mini stress in your body. But as you leave, it actually frequently drops below, around 25% below your average after the session ends. So you're actually supporting your cortisol on more of that biological lens. And then obviously your downshift routines, like after the workday, adding those micro moments of recovery. And you know, a decompression walk is something that I've banged on about forever, but allowing your brain to transition from being in that constant high cortisol state into that parasympathetic where you can decompress the day fully. So it's just finding ways to allow recovery of your nervous system, of your cortisol, and integrating it into your day. Strategy number 2 is biologically supporting cortisol. Not just like, oh, get less stress, don't stress out so much, legs up on a wall. This is when we get a little bit more like biologically deeper. So one of the things that we can support is actually supporting your body with specific supplements. And I don't talk about supplements a lot because they should be really bio-individualized for every person and what they need. But when you are constantly pumping cortisol, when you are constantly doing a lot, working long hours, constantly at the computer in blue light all day, and you're not giving your body time to rest and come down and complete that like cortisol cycle, you're just constantly adding on, your adrenals get fatigued. They use up certain minerals and nutrients to be able to function. So when you're operating at like a higher cortisol state, you're churning through those minerals and nutrients much faster than like quote unquote average. This is why, side tangent, high performing women always need greater support than say a woman working like just a regular job, because the output is so much more. You need more support biologically. With client work, I actually use certain mineral formulas to be able to support their adrenals. Magnesium is another one that comes into play. And when you're high stress, high cortisol, it depletes your magnesium, and lower magnesium actually makes you more reactive to stress, which then depletes even more magnesium. So it becomes this huge cycle, and why magnesium is one of the supplements generally with a lot of women that I supplement with and I support with. It also does like 300 functions of a woman's body. So quite a vital nutrient. And when we are stressed, when we are using so much cortisol, we're depleting a lot of those reserves. It also depletes zinc and vitamin C, which are required by the adrenal glands to actually produce cortisol. That's why supporting your body with certain supplements can be really, really effective while we address maybe underlying stresses in the body or underlying lifestyle factors. They're a support. Supplements are always a support. They're not like the fix. Another stress on the body is skipping meals. No one talks about this properly, but when you skip meals, your body sees it like fasting, like a stress in your body. It literally stimulates cortisol in your body because your body cannot perceive when more food is coming. So it releases cortisol, which then goes to your liver to get your glycogen stores to release glucose so you can be fed. So if you're not eating, you're actually pushing your cortisol higher on top of all your other stress that you normally have. So making sure you're eating your breakfast, that beautiful high protein whole food breakfast we talk about, making sure you're not skipping lunch, you're having your lunch at around the same time is going to help your body biologically support your cortisol. And then a little note on workouts. I know within the whole HIIT movement era and the Fit Stop era and the F45 era, it was like back-to-back HIIT workouts because you got to get your money's worth. But when women do back-to-back HIIT workouts, what has been shown over time is that their cortisol baseline actually increases. So instead of reducing your cortisol, which normal exercise should be able to do, it stacks on and we're increasing our cortisol over time. Match that also with training fasted, so not eating before you train, and we are going to get a very high cortisol response, which means our recovery and our ability to come down will be lower, which can cause a host of other problems when cortisol comes into the mix. So supporting our cortisol biologically can be through supplement, can be through lifestyle changes, can be through the way you eat. Obviously there's a heap more underlying it when we get really personalized and nitty gritty, but these will be a huge start. And then the final strategy is getting your lab work done. And then strategy number 3, the final strategy is really looking at your functional labs, diving into what is actually happening in your body, because I have seen firsthand, even personally from myself, that I didn't know what was going on. And if I had known earlier, if I had done my labs earlier and seen what was actually happening, it wouldn't have taken me so long, or I wouldn't have hit so rock bottom to then build my health up to be able to be at the level that I am today. Like, I can use an example when it comes to hormonal patterns. You will see in lab work stages, and I can see the stage of their health decline, even though externally it's not showing up. So for example, one of those things is cortisol. A lot of women come to me and they're like, oh, I'm so stressed. I must be super high cortisol. Like I'm just like constantly on. I will look at their lab work and I will see dysregulated cortisol patterns. So instead of a normal cortisol, I won't even see high cortisol, which is what they predict. I actually see low cortisol, like completely flatlined. Or it's spiking at different random times, because it's like their adrenals are so exhausted by constantly trying to pump cortisol, and they've churned through all these minerals, they've churned through all these nutrients, that it's done. Like it's like, I'm tapped out. And the way you treat high cortisol and the way you treat low cortisol is completely different. And then we get this whole hormonal cascade that women can't predict. It influences your progesterone, which influences your estrogen, your testosterone gets affected. Your insulin then comes into picture, which I see on labs. So it's never just like, no, I've just got to treat my high cortisol. When I look underneath, I'm seeing this huge cascade. And if we didn't look at the lab work, we're missing this entire picture of a woman's health. But on the outside, she's just going, oh, I'm just doing a lot. I'm just a little stressed. I'm just, I'm not sleeping well because I'm just stressed. And that's only driven by what lab work can tell you. So now we can really support with the supplements and really specifically target what her individual body needs, because every woman is so different. Even though might present with certain signs and symptoms, underlying, there will be different root causes of what's causing that biologically, because genetics come into play, your epigenetics come into play. That's why functional testing is not a guess. It's not like a vibe and we're like, oh, just try these things. It's a picture of what's actually happening inside your body, so that you can stop throwing things at a wall and actually start building a strategy that is designed and tailored to you. This is why I feel like I'm so passionate about this topic, is because I've been there. I had those whispers and those signs and those little symptoms, and I ignored them for so long that I was hit by that bus, that I did have high functioning health decline. And so many women wait to be able to support their health. They're like, oh, I'll do it when I reach XK months, and I'll do it when the kids are like teenagers, and then I'll support myself. But that's not how your body works. So this is what I want to leave you with. Like, you are not broken with these symptoms that are showing up. You're not like bad at managing stress or like too sensitive. Your partner might be like, oh, just stop being so sensitive. Not a good partner. But like, you're not too sensitive, or it's not like you're not resilient enough. You are a high performing woman, an ambitious woman that is doing so much and is running on an extraordinary system that knows how to compensate to keep you performing at a high level. But your body can only compensate for so long that those little whispers that you keep masking, that you keep pushing through, become a brick. And then that brick becomes a bus. And you did not build this beautiful life. You do not have these incredible dreams of where you want to go and what you want your life to look like to be taken out by a fucking bus. Like, trust me, my entire life stopped when my health was on the floor, when I couldn't get out of bed, when I would look at myself in the mirror and cry every single day because I knew what I wanted to be and there was no way that I would get there. No woman should have to go through that. So if you heard yourself in any of this today, maybe it's like the tiredness or the sleep issues or the lack of focus, the hormonal issues that are starting to get a little bit louder, maybe the gut issues. We don't want to file this under like, I'll just deal with it later. I'll just deal with it when like things calm down, when things get better. Things don't calm down. You know that. And the only thing that changes is your body's capacity to keep compensating until it can't anymore. Your health is the foundation of everything you do. You have so much to do in this world to let your health be capping what you are here to do. And I want you to be able to be performing at such a high level that you can sustain that level of success and that life you want and have the relationships that you want because they're hotter than ever, or your family is like, oh my gosh, mum is doing so much and she has so much energy to give us, even though she's worked like this huge day. You want to be that person for you and your family. You are the asset, so treat yourself like one. Okay, that was my little pep talk at the end. But I can't wait to hear what you think of this episode, and I will see you next week.